What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the Investing Bros live show. We have got a great one lined up for you guys today because we got some altcoins moving here. The big question that everyone is asking, does this mean that altcoin season has started? Well, we're going to talk about that and a whole lot more. Bitcoin continues to trade sideways, but there's a range that it's in that a breakout either to the upside or the downside is going to be coming very, very soon. But there's reasons on the news front to believe that that price should only continue to skyrocket up and to the right. Make sure not to go anywhere. Stay around for the entire video. You don't want to miss a second of it. Smash the like, hit subscribe. But first, we got to roll the intro. Mr. Tshroom, how are we doing today? Good to have you back in the saddle.
That's right. I'm doing better than I deserve, Tim. I really am. I got a blue shirt, blue background, and I'm ready to rock and roll. You're not doing so hot yourself, though, Tim, but you are on the recovery. You're on the uptrend.
I was telling Shermy earlier, Saturday morning I woke up and my voice sounded like, like if you ever have like one of those flutes and you cover all the holes. Yeah, that's what it sounded like when I was talking. This is probably a little bit worse than what I was Friday. Some of you guys were watching Friday's show. My voice is down. I think I'm close to being back, right? Tomorrow I got a full day. We got live trading. We have another Bros Academy session. We'll have the live show. So hopefully I'm all back and ready for tomorrow. But today I was like, hey, let's give it a take. I'm going to try to not stress my voice out too much here on the show today, but there's just so much to break down, so much to talk about Tshroom. We had to get on here and talk about it. Before we get into the details, though, anything on your end that you want to make sure to tease to people about the show today?
Well, it's going to be a good one. We do have news from a lot of different altcoins here. Things are starting to pick up, if you haven't noticed. Not just prices moving up to the right, but also big allocations, picking certain coins that you may not have known about yet, and you need to. So that's really exciting. Let's anything else for you before we get started?
Let's do it. Let's get into these bubbles. A lot of big green bubbles here. We're not going to be able to go through all of them, but there's a couple that we're absolutely going to take a look at here. Biggest gainer of the day is actually Tezos, up 54.2% here over the last 24 hours. That's a big green bubble. But the one that everyone is talking about is HBAR. Even last week, people were asking about HBAR. I'll tell you guys, I did not benefit from this HBAR pump because I don't hold HBAR, but I told people if you hold HBAR, I wouldn't be mad at you. Didn't know that we were going to get some very, very bullish news about that coin. If you're wondering what that news is, stick around. We're going to cover it here in just a couple of minutes. I say that it's going to be like probably 20 minutes from now, but you get my gist. Some other big names, though, that I do want to talk about today. KASPA is making some moves up 12%. So where is it? Chainlink around here somewhere with a bubble. But Chainlink, it's actually cooled off here a little bit. It was up over $16 there for a little. It's up 8% of the day. It was higher. What does that mean, though, for Chainlink? Some other big ones, though, to keep an eye on. Theta's up pretty big today. XLM, Akash, Flow, Paul coming back, too. Some of these older coins, these dinosaur coins that people thought were just out, Tshroom, that maybe wouldn't have any type of bullishness in this bull market, they're coming back alive. And this is all stuff that we're going to get to at the
Oh, no. Tim has completely dropped out. We were having issues this morning with Crux, but now we're having issues with Tim. My guess is that he will attempt to log back on, and yes, he indeed has. And he will share his screen, and then we'll bring him back up and get into some TA here.
We had some problems pre-show. We're gonna see how this one goes, Tshroom. I'll see if I get cut off again. You just go ahead and take it. I'll be back. We'll fix all these problems and be back good for tomorrow. But technical difficulties are not just with my voice, it seems like today. It seems like possibly they're with my computer as well. Either way, what I was going to get into here, we're going to transition away from altcoin talk for a little bit because this is all the altcoins. Let's talk about the big one of them all, Bitcoin. It's kind of frustrating, people. If I go over here, let's go to, I was looking at Ondo here a second ago, but let's look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin is trading in a range, and we're going to come back here. We're going to analyze this in just a little bit. It is a bullish one, though, but If it breaks the downside, we could be going much, much lower. This is either going to be a bull flag, bull pennant type of situation that sends us up to, if not above 100,000, or it's going to be a distribution phase, in which case we could be heading back down into lower $70,000 marks. But for more on those details as to what's affecting it in the news, Tshroom, we got some big news today as MicroStrategy does not care about boring price action. They just bought another large chunk of change. Why don't you give us all the details? What's happening right now with MicroStrategy?
Absolutely. Well, they MicroStrategy bought an additional 51,780 Bitcoin for $4.6 billion. It's absolutely incredible, Tim. It's a lot of money, and it is putting a significant dent in their goal to acquire, I believe it's like 42 billion in a short amount of time. So pretty incredible there. That's a big buy, and that's why we're seeing, I have a theory, Tim. I want to get your thoughts on this. Because MicroStrategy is somewhat notorious for buying, maybe not the tops, but not the bottoms, certainly not the bottoms. And I wonder if they do that to try to anchor price higher and maybe put in like a breaker block or some kind of like liquidity kind of play to make it to where higher prices are more attractive to the market, or there's just more gravitas there at those levels. I don't know. Do you think that's a little bit of woo-woo, or do you think there could be something to it?
I don't think that they have like a technical analyst. MicroStrategy, if anyone's listening, you guys want some TA, the bros up. We'd be more than happy to help. But I don't think that they're buying based off of what they see on the charts. I think they're buying off of when they get money to buy with. Now, what's the number they're looking for? I mean, this one just a little bit ago they bought with $2 billion. Now they're buying with $4.6 billion. I'm interested. What's the largest one-time purchase they've made here recently? Is 4.6 the largest? Either way, they definitely wait till they have money. And then I don't know. I don't know if it's like they buy because they think that something big is about to happen. I don't know if they're buying off of something to do with they get an inside source. But if you look at their track record of buying, they have perfectly bought bottoms. They have perfectly bought tops. They've perfectly bought middles. There's no rhyme or reason. Like I don't think anyone should just set up their buying and selling, which there's no selling for MicroStrategy. You should not be copying your buying from them because they don't have a track record of being great or terrible. They're kind of on average. I mean, they're average buying in. They're in profit right now, but they don't really have any real rhyme or reason I can see other than they have a chunk of change, they have cash on hand, and they say something, you know what, I like it, let's buy right now, and they do so. Now, more often than not, here's the other thing to keep in mind. I don't know about this purchase. I'm assuming it's over the counter, seeing as that the price of Bitcoin has not moved since this headline came out. They're usually buying what's called over the counter, meaning they're not going to go on some exchange where the volume of their purchase really accelerates the price action. Otherwise, every time they bought, we would see Bitcoin go crazy high in price. No, they've found someone or multiple someones to be buying what's called over the counter, meaning it has no effect on the exchanges, no effect on the markets. It would be like instead of me exchanging my money at the bank, Tshroom and I are just exchanging money behind closed doors where no one's even registering that purchase happened other than I just told people, hey, I paid Tshroom $20 or hey, Tshroom just paid me $20. That's what over the counter means. So anyone who's sitting here saying, well, if they just bought $4.6 billion of Bitcoin, why isn't the price going up? It's pretty obvious they bought it over the counter. And so how long before they run out of over the counter deals? That's another question here, Tshroom, that they can only have so many before the exchanges have to be involved. But it's a long-term bullish thing because that's another, what is it, 51,000 Bitcoin is the number they bought?
Yeah. So today there was an announcement of 51,000. And then you asked earlier, Tim, what's their total goal? Well, their 3-year goal is 42 billion. And they've already bought 66% of next year's 10 billion target in just 10 days. So yeah, they're aggressive. They're aggressive, and they're obviously front loading, their purchasing here, and whether or not that's gonna turn out to be like excellent entry, only time will tell. But we'll be hearing from a pretty smart guy here in just a few minutes who has some things to say about whether or not Bitcoin's going to be going higher.
Well, I think that's a good one on that one. We're going to do Bitcoin TA here in just a couple of minutes. But first, there's another story. It's not just MicroStrategy on the business front who's getting really bullish here. Another company now is coming out saying they want to add Bitcoin to their treasury. Tshroom,
right.
Who else is buying Bitcoin right now and has bullish plans for it?
Yeah, so global healthcare group Cosmos Health adopts Bitcoin as treasury reserve asset. And it's exactly what it sounds like. Everybody's taken the playbook either from Donald Trump and what he wants to do with the U.S. government, or from MicroStrategy's, and just the magic that they've been able to make over there for that company and for its shareholders. So another company throwing its hat into the ring. And today I posted all of the proxy stocks for Bitcoin, all of the corporations that you can buy on the New York Stock Exchange or the NASDAQ that have exposure to Bitcoin. They're all there listed in the Brolux chat over in our Discord. So go check that out for yourself to see what are the different companies that you could buy in the U.S. that own Bitcoin on their balance sheet and or treasury. So really cool stuff. Oh no. And we've lost his audio. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, cannot hear him. Very strange. Something is going on. There are some gremlins in the machine here, and it's unfortunate, but we will press on. We will emerge stronger. We will emerge stronger. So let's see if we got Tim back. How we doing, Tim?
We good now?
Yes, can hear you.
Technical difficulties. It's always fun. They don't want the good news out there.
That's right. That's right.
That's the problem. What was I saying when I have no audio?
Global healthcare group Cosmos Health adopts Bitcoin as treasury reserve asset, but now we're ready to move on because we got to keep chugging.
I think at the end of the day, what it really boils down to, people are going to ask, like, hey, if all this news is coming out so bullish, why is price not moving now? This is the time, again, where we're hearing some great reasons why you should stay long-term bullish. People even asking me earlier today, I put a tweet out saying, hey, this is either going to be, we're going to pop in one way or the other here in the next 24 hours, probably less. And the reason why is because we're setting up a beautiful spot to either, again, have a nice rally to 100K, or cool off and maybe fall back down to the lower $70,000 levels. Does that mean the bull market's over? Does that mean the bear market's here? Absolutely not. It means that we have an explosive market still on the way, and cool-offs are all a part of that. When we see these institutions really, really fall in love with an asset, they're going to do things so they can buy it at the cheapest price possible before it gets too expensive. So you need to make sure you're processing that when you take a look at this news and the charts and say that they're not lining up. We're not seeing the charts go super bullish, but we're seeing the news go super bullish. This news is long-term bullish. It's not necessarily immediately bullish. And for that, let's go ahead and go and look at the screen right now here, Tshroom, where I mentioned earlier, if you're just joining us, we talked about the symmetrical triangle pattern that Bitcoin has found itself in here over the last couple of days, kind of going back here to the 11th. It's been actually a whole week being in this triangle. We had a little bit of a fake out this morning, though. If you look over here, let's go to the 1 hour chart so you can see it a little better. We broke above a descending level of resistance back here around 10 a.m. But notice the very next hour, even though we closed above that line, the next hour brought us back down below. That's a little bit of what we call a fake out. And I told our trading community, because we were talking about this, saying, where should we get back in? Well, if you were to go all the way down to the 15-minute chart, I told them to keep an eye on the order block and the smart trail from the 15-minute. Sure enough, guess what? We have bounced here over the last hour and some change right here on that order block and the smart trail. We had almost a borderline perfect entry on the Blofin around 89.7. That's not quite where Coinbase got down to, but it is right there on that bullish order block. And so anyone who's in our trading group got a great entry here on Bitcoin. But what stands next? What comes in next here with Bitcoin? Like I said, there's some things going on here. Let's start off with the bullish case, and then we'll move to the bearish case of what could happen. Literally, this is a could go up, could go down scenario. It's time to sit and wait, but talk about what could happen here. As I said, a symmetrical triangle pattern attached to a vertical flagpole is what we call a bull pennant. Now, this bull pennant potential, if it does go to the upside, could make its way well above 100,000. We have a nice level of resistance right there. I'd be surprised if we just blast on through 100,000 and don't see any type of resistance. But this target actually could take us all the way up to $110,000 per coin. That's the bullish case right now. And if I were to continue to look for other bullish cases, I'm going to come back here to the oscillators and say, well, you know what? Are the oscillators super low and overextended, saying we're oversold at the moment? on the 4-hour chart? No, they're not saying oversold, but they have come back down to an equilibrium. What am I talking about here? Well, the RSI has come back down and is setting up a nice little range right here, right above the 50 line, and doesn't get back above 60. This is a consolidation on the RSI alone. Then you come back over here to the MACD. Well, what the MACD has done, well, it's not below the 0 line. It is correcting back down and has gone lower than levels we had back on November 9th. Well, what was November 9th price, you might ask? That price was sitting here at 86,300. So we actually, at the moment, have a case for what we call hidden bullish divergence on the MACD chart, where we see lower lows with the MACD while we saw higher lows with our price action bottoms. But then we move over to the Lux Algo indicator, and this is going to be very similar to the RSI. It technically did cross that midline, unlike the RSI, but you're seeing just like candles can consolidate, so can the strength. And we have ourselves a nice little symmetrical triangle of strength here on the Lux Algo oscillator. We're going to be watching for a breakout to come very, very soon on this.
Okay. Well, that's unfortunate. Just stand with us here, bros. More than likely, Tim will be rejoining here in just a second. This is more than likely the product of the software that we use issuing an update, and that update was flawed. So, unfortunate. And when Tim shares his screen, we'll bring him up here, and we will get the second part of this beautiful technical analysis. Here we go.
Back, you guys hear me? I'm so sorry. Tshroom, here's what we're going to do. Because my computer's struggling so much, I'm going to finish the Bitcoin TA. And I'm going to throw it to you. You're going to finish the show. Might be a little bit shorter of a show. This is very frustrating. This is a great show lined up here. Good news is Tshroom can cover a lot of this himself. And I'm going to be messing with my computer now for probably the rest of the evening and trying to figure out what in the crap is happening. Yeah. I don't know if it's the software. I know you said you think it's eCam. I don't know. My computer was definitely fritzing out before the show.
Well, the same thing was happening with Crux this morning. And
really,
we just powered through. He just kept coming back on whenever it kicked him off. So
that's frustrating.
Yeah.
That's frustrating. Okay, well, we're going to figure it out, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get this done. Let me finish Bitcoin TA, and I'm going to throw it to you, Tshroom, and everybody else. If I don't see you before, I will see you at the 8 p.m. X Spaces, where we're going to be talking about alt season. Tshroom's going to talk about it a little bit later here in the show, but I'm going to finish this Bitcoin TA. I don't know what you guys saw last. I'm assuming I was on this chart right here, Tshroom, if you go back to my screen. I was talking about the symmetrical triangle of the Lux Algo oscillator. As a whole, right here, this could be bouncing back and forth for a little while longer, but it's doomed to break to the either upside or downside. At the moment, while I'm seeing that hidden bullish divergence on the MACD, I'm seeing a buy signal currently flashing here more recently on the 4-hour chart with take profit signals between $94,000 and $97,000. I lean bullish. If anyone's asking, Tim, which way do you think this breaks? I think it breaks bullish. However, that does still beg the question, could we potentially see a correction to the downside? When you turn some of this stuff off, we do have some big support levels down below us. We even have some things that kind of say there's liquidity all the way down here back towards $72,000, $73,000, a former high, by the way, only a couple of months ago. You start to see and question is this what we call a distribution phase? Well, this could be a bullish trend and could be a bullish technical indicator. This sideways, I did not grab the right tool. This sideways consolidation, there we go. Sideways consolidation we've had in here could easily continue and end up being what we call distribution phase and make its way back down to the downside. We've actually seen this happen a couple of times in recent history. You saw it happen throughout the time period back in March, in May, in July. There was distribution phases that sent us back down to lower levels. We also saw this happen several times back in 2023, where we would make what looked like a bullish breakout only to find ourselves in a distribution phase, and we would correct back down to lower levels of support. So while all of this news on Bitcoin is still bullish, I want to make sure I just leave you with the concepts of what is possible right now. We're seeing news that institutions are buying, and that is so good for the long-term health of Bitcoin. But it also means that institutions are hungry right now. And if there is a possibility for institutions to drive prices lower so that they can buy a discount, bet your bottom dollar they'll do everything that they can. What this means is, we see retail and long-term holders fall victim and end up selling their coins off, allowing price to dip back down? Do we see retail trying to maybe buy a new bottom? That's what's going to be the difference between whether we break to the upside or the downside. And I'm here. It's probably one of the last things I say, and I'm going to let Tshroom take it off so we have no more technical difficulties. I wish I could tell you which one is definitely going to happen. I wish I had a crystal ball right in front of me, a magic 8-ball, something that would say, we know for certain we're going to go to the upside or we're going to go to the downside. But unfortunately, if you have not been investing for that long, you need to learn a very hard lesson, is that things rarely go the way you want them to go. It's not about deciding what you want and emotionally attaching yourself to a direction. It's about taking the information you have, understanding that the markets are not always fair and they don't always do what you think they will do. You have to simply respond to what you get. You have to respond to the news. You have to respond to the charts. And right now, we are seeing the absolute signs that we could be about to break out. The question, though, is to the upside or the downside. With that said, guys, I'm going to go rest. My computer's going to rest. I'm going to work on fixing this. Tshroom, you got a lot of altcoins to talk about because there's a lot of great news happening with them. Do not leave out HBAR. Do not leave out KASPA and Link. These are massive, massive coins today. For the rest of you guys, love you guys. I'll see you tonight on X Spaces, and hopefully my computer works for tomorrow's show. Love you guys. Adios. Tshroom, take it away.
Bros, you are locked and loaded in capable, strong hands. Let's go ahead and jump on over to the news here on HBAR, and it's exciting. HBAR board member and former Binance US CEO Brian Brooks has been named a potential candidate for SEC chairman. This may not have made it across your screen yet. I didn't see this until I actually went out looking for what was making HBAR pump to the upside. Of course, there are other contenders, Hester Pierce, in my estimation, being probably the leader of these. You also have some really strong contenders over here. Daniel Gallagher, former Robinhood chief legal officer. You have another former commissioner, Mark Uda, and Christopher G., who's a former CFTC chair. So kind of another potential Gary Gensler there in Christopher G. I'd be more than happy to see Daniel, Hester, or Brian on this list. But if you're an HBAR holder and you're bullish on HBAR, Brian is going to be far and away your favorite pick for the SEC chair. Why? Well, all you have to do is look at the price. Goodness gracious, take a look at this. HBAR absolutely skyrocketing, continuing to move higher today as I'm live. Let's go ahead and just take a look at the oscillators here on the daily chart. I'll zoom into the 4-hour. You can see something very nice is that we are going ahead and printing a positive money flow as of right now. That's right, on the daily chart. So very bullish there. We did get a reversal delta up top. Don't like to see that, but it's defying it so far until we see a dot here signaling that there could be another reversal for HBAR's hyperwave. I think that this one's going to continue to test higher. Now, let's take a look here because we've already seen HBAR. Let's just see. It's up 37% right now according to TradingView on my side panel. But today is the 18th. Let's see how much it's actually traveled since yesterday's candle. So at the candle close for yesterday, we got up to 24% higher. And of course, there was some movement back down in the evening yesterday, which brought it back. But let's even maybe look at just the daily charts to get a better look at this. So since yesterday's candle, we got up as high. This is much better analysis. Much better. 66.5% all the way to that wick. To the live price, we're up 37%. And that's really, really nice for those holding HBAR. This is after HBAR has shown a pretty strong and much more convincing recovery here. So all the way down from the lows back here on November 6th, Wednesday there, we are up 257% to that wick, to live price just under 200%. Okay, so HBAR showing quite a bit of strength, going ahead and getting an overbought signal there from LuxAlgo on the oscillator matrix. And the MACD is saying that this baby should continue to fly. But the next histogram, tomorrow's histogram is going to tell us whether or not it's cooling off. If we get one that is any shorter than the previous one here, if we get a gap that's smaller than that, like if we get a gap that's that's not equal, right, then that's going to continue. That's going to show investors that this move may need to cool down and we need to test lower. But that's just the daily chart, okay? Before we leave here, let's look at the reversal clouds really quickly. And this is well over the reversal clouds here for HBAR. Part of that has to do with because it's been so consolidated here for the last few months. But the other part of that is, it's not every day that a member of your team gets selected to be the potential future SEC chair. So that's the fundamentals. This is the technicals. Luxalgo does have it on a buy rating here as of November 6th. So when you would have bought through Luxalgo, you'd be up well over 200% if you'd sold above 14 cents. So really, really nice pick here is HBAR. This is one that I went ahead and sold off a while ago. I don't regret it because I haven't seen a whole lot to convince me that this is going to do well. No one could have foreseen a person from HBAR getting put as a potential SEC chair. So, for those of you who are bullish on HBAR, you've stuck with it. Good for you. I will say that while HBAR is looking good today, it could have, I'm going to say this two different ways. It could have a lot more room to run. Okay, what do I mean? Well, if you take a look here, from live price to its previous all-time highs, right, that were put in back here in 2001. Now I'm going to go to the wick, then I'll come back down to the candlestick highs. It's got another 375% to move, right? So that's good and plenty of time left in the bull market, that's for sure. We're not even at a convincing altcoin season yet. To those candle buddy highs, and I'm going forward in time to November 2021, it's 250% more to the upside. So, and I'm on the weekly chart now, and you can see that on the weekly chart, HBAR has only just recently started to wick into the reversal cloud, excuse me. So, and it does also have a buy rating here from Luxalgo on the weekly as well. So this is bullish. Pullbacks here on HBAR could be something to accumulate into. I still hold that there are stronger projects than HBAR, but this looks like a one that's going to be convincing a lot of investors today. Will that continue? That's kind of the question, as whether or not it should get more future allocation from your portfolio. All right, let's keep moving here. Let's look at Chainlink. Chainlink introduces the Chainlink Runtime Environment Framework. According to Chainlink, the Common Business Oriented Language, or COBOL, standard facilitates approximately 95% of all ATM transactions. So this is causing Chainlink to move to the upside. Don't know if it's exactly this headline, but it's a combination of a lot of bullishness for Chainlink kind of coming in at the same time that this headline is dropping. And this is not a headline from today, but this is a headline from over the weekend. So let's take a look here at the price. Let's see what Chainlink is doing. I'm going to go down to the daily chart, and you all are welcome. Was I anticipating doing all this TA today? Kinda, but no. But that's okay, because when you have experience doing technical analysis, you can make it happen. All right, so taking a look here, it looks similar to HBAR, but what I will say, one of the differences is that it's been putting in higher lows, right? So from this wick, you've seen higher lows, and from the candlestick here, you've seen probably like matched lows, right? So that's a higher low to the candlestick. So from a fundamental standpoint, or from like a multi-month trend standpoint, this is more bullish than HBAR, and this is one of the reasons why I have much more Chainlink than I have HBAR, is because if you look here at the same multi-month analysis, HBAR has been actually putting in lower lows. Okay, so you got a low here, low here, low here, lower here, and then even lower here. Now, of course, this has launched out, right? So that's great, but what goes up can come down. It doesn't have to stay up there. And after all, this is on a big what if, okay? Because it is not yet necessarily true that the person who's going to be picked as the new SEC chair is actually going to be Brian. And if it's not Brian, then that could absolutely send the price of HBAR careening back down. So back to Chainlink. So the Chainlink story is a little different, right? It's been consistently putting in higher lows, okay? And that's more bullish because that's telling me that investors are seeing a buy thesis for this project over a sustained period of time, okay? And we're not seeing a huge explosion to the upside, but I guarantee if there's a person from the Chainlink project that was being considered for the SEC chairman position, Chainlink would be up and to the right as well. So just a little bit of experience, a little bit of wisdom there. You all can do with it whatever you'd like. Let's look at the oscillators here on the daily chart. It's looking good actually here. We're getting a reversal in the overbought zone, or just shy of it. I mean, the true overbought zone would be here north of 80, but let's say bullish zone. So getting a nice reversal here in the bullish zone. We have positive money flow. That's good, and we do have a reversal dot. So that would be bearish. That would be the bearish side. Okay, but overall here, Chainlink looking healthy and with room to run to the upside if that's what it was going to do here. Looking at the MACD, this looks pretty healthy as well. You've got your MACD lines pointing up and to the right. Very nice to see. Do have a little bit of shakiness. It's kind of Chainlink showing that it's been hesitant to commit to an uptrend, right? With a couple of potentials for a cross formation there on the MACD lines. Don't love that, right? But ultimately, it is now continuing to still point up and to the right. Would be a lot worse if one of these crosses went ahead and fulfilled. Okay. Histograms decelerating, green, and starting to kind of plateau off here. So again, there's not really any fireworks coming out here for Chainlink. It is up 9%, right? But a lot of other cryptos are up much more than that, double digits. In the case of HBAR, up 36% to lifetime, right? Okay, so what do we do with Chainlink from here? Let's look at the reversal clouds. It is in the reversal clouds here for the daily. Actually, the live price technically is not, but it has spent some time back here on the 11th and the 12th, closing an entire candle in both those cases. We'll see that today. Well, Chainlink's got to get all the way back above $15.18 in order for that to be a reality. Why do I care about that? Well, because that's going to signal to investors that there's still a lot of strength in this name for investors who are really only concerned about strength. All right, let's go down to the 4-hour for Chainlink. Yeah, so on the 4-hour, we have seen it playing here in the reversal cloud in the past, showing lots of strength over a sustained period of time. However, we are currently not in that reversal cloud. We did wake up to it earlier today, however. Okay, from live price down to the smart trail, which is where there could potentially be a retest, is about 11.5%. On the oscillators, I'm seeing, honestly, consolidation. Look, if you kind of look at this, there's a good amount of consolidation here in the momentum, right? And that's why we are starting to see some red lines here signaling that there are actually divergences forming. Okay, so disintegrations between the live price and the momentum of the underlying asset. So something to be aware of there for sure. But overall, I mean, it's looking good. I'd like to see the 4-hour get back into positive money flow territory, and I'd like to see there maybe to be a failed reversal here. So maybe just another zig back to the top, right? Of course, that would be indicative of price moving higher. But right now, this is showing me a clean bill of health. You know, it looks like it's waiting to break out, but the momentum has just not been there quite yet. So that's Chainlink. Down on the MACD on the 4-hour for Chainlink, this looks pretty healthy as well. Again, kind of like what I was seeing on the daily MACD, just in the lines. I'm seeing here just a failure to be able to commit, right? It's overall bullish, but it's just not able to commit in the same way that Bitcoin has over the last 2 weeks and HBAR has over the last 48 hours, right? That is not a failure to commit right there. That's HBAR on the MACD for the 4-hour. All right, let's see what else we've got. I'm going to keep moving here because we're going to get over to KASPA. Then we're going to watch a clip, and then we're probably going to call it a day. Thank you all for sticking around through these technical difficulties. I've been Tshroom, just one of the bros here. Thank you so much for sticking around. we've got an X Spaces tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we're really looking forward to everybody joining us there. It's likely that we'll have Houdini Swap, some folks from Houdini Swap, some potentially developers, or some of the folks from that team coming and joining us there in our X Spaces. And we also may be having Cryptos R Us. That is not confirmed yet, but there has been some chatter around Cryptos R Us being available and willing to come over to our X Spaces. So if you want them to, shout them out on Twitter. Say, go join the bros for tonight's X Spaces. That it's at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, let's jump on into the news here for KASPA. Mr. KASPA here getting a shout out from the bros. Says, T minus 20 hours until Kraken. I am ready. I will buy KASPA as soon as trading goes live. He's got his $500 order here loaded up, and this is from today at 1:14 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So how is price reacting to this new listing about to go? Of course, anybody experienced in crypto is probably thinking sell the news, buy the rumor, sell the news, which buy the rumor would have been in the past. Sell the news would be more than likely coming to fruition when KASPA is listed on Kraken, its first Tier 1 exchange. But let's go ahead and take a look here at the price and see how market participants are reacting to this listing coming up very, very soon. All right, so we had a descending triangle here that ultimately broke to the downside. That's at least what I have drawn here. It broke to the downside, but found support here around 10 cents 30, you could call it. And now, since then, there's been a nice uptrend after that support was put in, and now there's been an uptrend, and we are back up above that line of support that made up that descending triangle. Okay, so this is getting bought up pretty aggressively now. We're seeing prices back up to the top of the range here from this bit of price action back that characterized trading from early August through late September. So now the question is can we kind of break through that same line of resistance that was kind of keeping KASPA from breaking out back here? You had a failed test here. You had ultimately a successful penetration, but a failed retest of support and breakout higher. And then you just had a failed test there, and that showed investors, okay, KASPA's too weak. It needs to go back down and find support, and of course it did. And now we're kind of in the same zone asking that question, can it break through? And it looks like this price that it's endeavoring to break through here is right around, it's kind of tough to call exactly, but maybe 17 clean, you might even put it at. So that's a nice psychological number, I'd say. 17 clean. Again, there's some candlesticks that don't line up exactly with that level. If you're just kind of thinking about it in terms of the area high of this bit of trading data back here from early August to late September. So, we want to see at least KASPA get a daily close, if not a 4-hour close, candle close above that. So, very, very bullish. Tim is texting me. What did he say here? He said, now, I think maybe, did I drop off? He said, the topic you're on is boring. Move on. I love it. Tim is all about making sure that the show is exciting and informative, so it's good that Tim is helping me out there. Guys, go ahead and smash the like button. Today our infrastructure, our computer system here is being infiltrated by goblins that are trying to foil the show. But we're pressing on. And we're doing it. We're making it happen here. Let's take a look deeper here. Let's look at the oscillators for KASPA. On the daily, you can see here that while the momentum was picking up and moving quite bullish after we found support at 10.30, 10 cents 30, you know what I mean. Now, we were not able to break the momentum higher. Okay, so you got a double top here on momentum, but we were able to get a reversal dot here, and momentum should be resuming to the upside. Had a reversal dot there as well, the bearish one. Now, what I'm noticing here is that on the daily, we are on track to put in positive money flow. So that's what the chart's saying, but overall here, you have to remember KASPA is a proof of work, so it's not going to move like the rest of the cryptos. It's not going to just be pegged to Ethereum's price action, because the buyers and sellers of KASPA are running on a little bit of a different analysis, because they have energy costs that they're selling KASPA and presumably other proof of work coins in order to pay for those energy costs. So there's a different dynamic. It's not just buy low, sell high, like traders with HBAR or AVAX or Ethereum. There is a different layer, different dimensions of consideration here. On the MACD though, for KASPA, still on the daily, I can see that these MACD lines are perhaps the most bullish thing about the daily chart, which is they're not just pointing up and to the right, and it's not that they've been doing it for a while. They're actually broadening, right? So you can see that this MACD line is actually broadening out, and that is bullish. Why is that bullish? It's because the potential for bullishness is expanding. That's what the MACD lines are signaling. Now, what I do like to see as well is that after a deceleration of the MACD lines here, kind of a cooling off and a plateau, it got bought up again, right? So again, interpreting the momentum oscillators here, showing exactly what we're seeing on the price chart, which is that investors are allocating to KASPA. How much longer they'll do this, I'm not sure. Of course, those that are mining KASPA are at some point going to take profits to pay to either buy more mining equipment or pay an energy bill or buy Bitcoin or whatever it is. But for this period of time, the miners have decided to go ahead and hold on to KASPA. Now, you might be wondering, what is proof of work? What is proof of stake? The difference here between proof of work and proof of stake is proof of work, there's not very many coins like that left. Bitcoin is one of them, and that's why KASPA is popular, because it has a strong fundamental case. There's not a lot of proof of work coins. And so when there are ones that actually get allocation and get attention, they do pretty well, and KASPA is far and away the most shining example this bull market of proof of work altcoins. Bitcoin, obviously the king, the reigning king by far of proof of work coins in general, proof of work blockchains. So very, very bullish here. Still have 730 folks watching according to my equipment here. So make sure that you are smashing the like button. And thank you so much for sticking around. We've got a clip here that we want to take a look and take a listen to. Let's go ahead and run that now.
Bitcoin is becoming more and more a hallmark of what this next administration is going to have, and it does solve some of the deficit concerns. If Bitcoin becomes a reserve asset, and it may solve some of the what I'd consider inherent problems of the current financial system. Bitcoin remains a very secure blockchain, so I think there's still a lot of potential for Bitcoin.
So where were we last time we were, or at least a recent time I asked you, still triple digits by the end of the year? I think we were around 70 or under 70. We're much closer now. So I don't want to ask you if you're raising your price target on Bitcoin, but it looks like triple digits is certainly a possibility. What is it? It's November.
Yeah, I think comfortably over 100,000 makes sense before the end of this year, and Bitcoin is trading pretty closely to how it should post-halving. So I think the next 12 months look pretty good for Bitcoin.
Awesome. That is so cool. So Tom Lee is an extremely well-respected and experienced analyst there, saying that Bitcoin could get up north of 90,000 and on into 120,000 by the end of the year is very exciting and should make Bitcoin bulls extremely excited for the future of Bitcoin in 2024. Now, into 2025, I think that a lot of folks should expect it to be bullish as well, and there's kind of, we're keeping our sights here on 2024 because we don't know exactly what, it holds, but there's definitely lots of folks out there thinking that Bitcoin in 2025 could do very, very well as well. But as we know, with altcoin season going to be playing a role here at some point, Bitcoin dominance will start to lose its strength, and the profit taking in Bitcoin, kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy, will that capital will rotate, the profit taking will rotate into altcoins, And so, that will be the top for Bitcoin. Is this time different? That's why, Tim and I do this every day, because we're fascinated to answer that question. It could potentially be that this time is different. We're not exactly sure. What we know is that there's different types of buyers and different types of sellers this time. Institutions, which do tend to do things a lot slower, a lot more consistent, a lot more deliberate, and they don't tend to sell as aggressively as retail. Okay. And so that is really, the most bullish thing about this bull cycle, in my opinion, is that the institutions are coming in. They're not only coming in with 10 to 100x the amount of capital that we've seen retail come in with in previous bull markets, like in 2020, 2021, but they're actually coming in with a different attitude, a different buying philosophy, as well as a different selling philosophy. So, if you're not already bullish on crypto, that hopefully will make you pretty bullish. Well, bros, everything is okay with Tim. He is sick. He is recovering, and he will be on the stream the rest of the week. But something is going on with our computers, and we just need to make sure we fix that. Tim is okay. He's doing great. He's on the mend from being a little bit sick. But, bros, I'm going to go ahead and cut it off early. Thank you all so much for joining. Again, we've got our X Spaces tonight at 8 p.m. Don't miss it. And we've also got some pretty exciting updates coming for the Investing Bros community. So don't go anywhere. Make sure you are subscribed and have your notifications turned on. And we will see you tonight at 8 p.m. And we'll also catch you back here on YouTube tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Adios, bros.